Hey everyone, welcome back to Selah, which is our daily space to come together and pause, catch our breath and refresh our spirits.
For when I stop and breathe in your presence, I find that you are the answer. You're all I need. And even when I don't understand, I know I am safe in your hands. Just breathe. Just breathe.
I recently received an email newsletter from a lady called Hannah Miller who runs a company called Sidekick. In this email, she talked about the Great Resignation. Have you heard of it? I had, but didn't know that it had been given a name, but there you go. It was and is one of the things that has come out of the pandemic. An article published in The Guardian at the start of this year said that 2021 was a year when workers quit their jobs at historic rates. The Labour Department said that there were 10.6 million job openings at the end of November and 6.9 million unemployed people. That's 1.5 jobs per unemployed person, with the number of people quitting hitting a new high of 4.5 million. That's an awful lot of people, isn't it? Maybe you were one of them. Here's some more stats from my email from Sidekick, which I'll quote to you. It says, here in the UK, almost a quarter of workers are actively planning to change employers in the next few months. A survey of 6,000 employees by the recruitment firm Randstad UK found that 69% of them were feeling confident about moving to a new role in the next few months, with 24% planning a change within 3 months. The company said that it would normally expect up to 11% of workers to move jobs every year. Now, there are likely to be a number of different factors contributing to these stats. Firstly, the pandemic created a lot of uncertainty for people. Maybe money was an issue, or health concerns. Maybe people were finding it hard to engage with their current line of work. Perhaps the pandemic got people thinking more about what their priorities were. I think in part as well, the pandemic got a lot of people thinking about purpose. When all of our usual comforts and structures that keep us safe and secure get shaken, what are we left with? What are we giving our time to and our lives for? For me, over lockdown and since then, I noticed on social media that friends or random people that popped up on my feed were starting side hustles or were taking the opportunity to quit their jobs and think about actually doing things that they'd talked about doing for a long time. At first, it was inspiring and exciting to see what people were up to. But then after a while, I started getting lots of niggly, dissatisfied feelings. Panic started setting in. What was I going to do? I myself was at a crossroads in life. My job at the time had ended, and I didn't know what to do next. I started to pay too much attention to what everyone else was doing around me, and started to feel like I was distinctly behind. And not just by a little bit, but by a lot. It can be easy to get to a point when we're so focused on what everyone else around us is doing that we forget to actually live our own lives and to navigate our own purpose or calling. We start trying to fit ourselves into someone else's shape when we were never supposed to. When we start looking around at what others are doing and lose sight of our lives and of what Jesus is saying to us, it creates an unhealthy dissatisfaction. It becomes easy to start saying things to ourselves like, I could never do that, or why are they so much more brave and smart and more creative than me? You get the picture. But what we need is to be secure in who we are. It reminds me of what Ian said about John the Baptist. He knew who he was, and he knew who he was not. John wasn't fixated on trying to be like Jesus, or looking at the prophet in the neighbouring town thinking that he should try and be a bit more like that guy, or thinking things like, maybe if I trimmed my beard to be a bit more hipster, I'd get more disciples. No, he knew what his purpose and calling was, and he didn't deviate from it. When Jesus came along, John celebrated who he was and stepped aside to let Jesus do his thing. John didn't get distracted by what others said or thought about him, and that enabled him to keep his eyes on the prize, to keep focused on his purpose. Now, I do love a good dictionary definition, and purpose is defined as the reason for which something is done or created, or for which something exists, or a person's sense of resolve or determination. What do you think yours is? As humans, we can put a lot of our identity and purpose into our jobs and what we do. After all, we spend a lot of hours in the week at work, but we are so much more than our jobs. They might have a part to play in our purpose, for some more than others, but we are made up of thoughts and ideas and passions, things that God put on our hearts to do that make it beat that extra bit more when we think about them, or even better when we're actually doing them. I think about that quote from Eric Liddell, "When I run, I feel his pleasure." What gives you that feeling? At the start of this episode, we talked a bit about the Great Resignation. Now, I'm not suggesting everyone goes and quits their jobs, but I'm suggesting maybe it would be good to take a bit of time as we listen to this next song to think about what makes you come alive, what your purpose might be. And if you feel you're not walking in it, what could you do about that? Maybe that does actually look like pursuing a different career option, but maybe it requires you to bravely step out and take small steps to outwork the passion on your heart. And believe me, I'm speaking to myself here as much as anyone else. Last year, I took a personal development course run by Hannah, who I mentioned at the start. And at the end of it, we had to say, "I am not afraid of ... and fill in the blank. For me, what I needed to say was loud in my ears. I am not afraid of my own potential. And I feel like that's a word for all of us. We all have something important to give this world, something we were created for. It might look big, it might look small. It doesn't make a difference either way. But to outwork that stuff in our lives, we have to keep our eyes fixed on Jesus. Not looking to the left or to the right, not looking over at our neighbour's fence at what they're up to, but pressing into who we have been made to be, following the leadership of the good, kind shepherd, and trusting that when we feel called out upon the waters, to trust that Jesus will meet us in all our fears as we step out of the boat.
You call me out upon the waters, the great unknown, where feet may fail. And there I find you in the mystery, in oceans deep, my faith will stand. My soul will rest in your embrace, for I am yours. You are mine. Your grace abounds in deepest waters. Your sovereign hand will be my guide. My soul will rest in